What's going on YouTube? Wildlion Games here. NBA 2K25 is out and I have done a ton of prep work to bring you the most honest review I am capable of. Guys, I literally just bought NBA 2K24 on Sunday so I could play it before reviewing this game. A little tidbit of history, don't skip this is very important because when it comes to video games, I'm a casual basketball fan. I love basketball in real life, but I don't buy 2K every year, mostly because of the predatory microtransactions started creeping their way into my career a little too much for my liking. So to give you an idea of my 2K basketball order history, it goes like this. NBA 2K7, NBA 2K10, 2K15, 16, 17, and 20. Then, after spending 12 hours on the couch watching college football on Saturday, I realized it wasn't fair to me for me to come in here and say, hey everyone, this is my honest review of 2K25 without even having played a 9th gen console version of the game. It wouldn't be fair because my review would be skewed by not having played a title since 2K20 on the PS4. And that's not fair to you guys. So, knowing that I had already purchased 2K25, I painfully walked my way to the store, bought a $40 copy of 2K24 on Sunday morning, and I kid you not, I played a disgusting amount of 2K24. I put in 16 hours. And here's my proof. Okay, guys, I've only owned this game for 72 hours and I had to work on Tuesday. So do the math. I spent pretty much all my waking hours outside of work playing this game. I gave myself a crash course so that I could set an accurate baseline of when it comes to reviewing 2K25. I apologize ahead of time, this review is gonna be long because 2K25 has a ton to offer. There are so many features, so many pros and cons to dive into and dissect why they are pros and cons. So without further ado, here is my honest opinion of NBA 2K25 on the PlayStation 5. Oh, we gonna switch it up and do gameplay first. Gameplay has always been a high point in 2K sports games and especially basketball. Sure, the game has had its down years from time to time, but overall 2K does a pretty solid job replicating basketball, and 2K25 is no different. The gameplay is exceptional and it looks and feels more fluid than ever. Last year in 2K24, they added Pro Play, which was a new technology that uses real game footage to capture authentic player movement rather than motion capturing. And in 2K25, they improved that technology quite a bit with noticeable differences in player accuracy and increases the amount of player-specific animations that there are. Every player feels different now, not just moving up and down the court and driving the lane, but also shooting. It's actually made the game fairly difficult to adapt to than previously because you have different shooting releases like Russell Westbrook and then a faster release like Michael Porter Jr. that you have to adapt to. Personally, I'm not really a fan of the new shot meter. For the life of me, I can't figure it out. No matter how many times I mess around with the UI settings, the feedback just doesn't feel responsive visually to me like I want it to. I know it's supposed to represent the timing of a shot rather than the function of filling up a meter, but I actually ended up just turning it off altogether, and I found it much easier to just watch the player's natural shooting motion than the meter itself. And I actually found more shooting success by turning the shot meter off. Dribbling controls are intuitive as ever and cater towards the most casual player all the way to the most advanced player and everyone in between. And so while I don't think I'll ever play enough to master the hundreds of maneuvers you can create on the joystick, it's nice that I can put a few moves in my tool belt like a post spin or a floater layup to score off of, and it feels really good when you're able to accomplish that too. And speaking of post play, I love post play in 2K25, man. Being able to chain dribble moves together, such as fake it inside, and then you roll outside with a soft touch to the basket, or maybe you just powerfully back down a defender and drop it over top of them. It is just so satisfying when you successfully finish the drive, and I implore you to just switch up your playing style from time to time and try out some of the post moves in the game. Driving to the basket is also going to feel different based on the type of player you are using. I can use some pretty simple moves with a Russell Westbrook and pick up an easy score, but then trying to drive down with Alex English or Bruce Brown took a lot more of an effort and usually resulted in me having to dish the ball back out to the perimeter. Hitting green on the shot meter isn't an automatic switch anymore, which I personally love, as I think it shows for a little bit more realism to see the ball rattle around the rim before going in, or maybe it's a couple bounces before falling in. It's a small detail, but I think it adds to the authenticity that not every shot is nothing but net. I also noticed with slower and lower skilled players that driving the lane doesn't always work, and not necessarily in like a good way, like their attributes aren't good enough, but it's more of like the player gets stuck in a defensive dribble stance, and so instead of following your controller input to drive the lane and keep pressing, he kind of backs down away from the basket, allowing the defender to step in front and block his drive. Fast break logic isn't always there either, as my CPU controlled teammates will stop running to the hoop for an easy bucket, and instead of scoring in transition, I'm now having to set up my offense to try and score. Overall, those are two pretty minor complaints in what otherwise is a very enjoyable game to play gameplay-wise. I really can't say enough good things about just how smooth and realistic this game feels and how natural everything looks too. And speaking of natural, let's talk graphics real quick. So just so you guys know, this video is in 1080 HD, it's in 60 frames a second, and I know I'm gonna get somebody in the comments saying, oh, how are you gonna talk about graphics? It's not 4K. I'm like, dude, I don't have the capability to record 4K footage from the PS5. I don't have a 4K capture card. I don't make enough YouTube money to go buy a $200 4K capture card. So you just have to trust that I know this is compressed at 1080, 60 frames a second, but you're just gonna have to trust me on this. Everyone has their opinion on graphics, and 2K players especially are guilty of pixel peeping and relentlessly studying player models and comparing them to other years of 2K or just real life in general. I say the graphics look great. I prefer the less saturated look of sports video games, as to me it comes across more lifelike than the ultra vibrant colors you can sometimes get where everything pops. The more subdued look and natural arena lighting make for a more accurate representation of the game that you see on TV. Especially if you are someone coming from a previous gen version of the game, I think you're going to be impressed. The court, the arena atmosphere, the mascots, the shoes, the jersey fabrics, and even the player models. I mean, we look at LeBron James, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, even some other random players that aren't superstars. Everyone looks good. The jersey physics are nice. The animatronic crowd can be a little creepy at times, and the cheerleaders have had too many plastic surgeries and can't move their faces, but overall, I think everything looks great. The frame rate never dips on the PS5. It's been smooth with zero hiccups. And yeah, I feel like I'm always cheating the graphics section because it's always so short, but I suppose when things are just good and straightforward, there's not much to talk about. Presentation. Another 2K staple has always been presentation when it comes to sports titles, and you can thank ESPN NFL 2K5 for going above and beyond and creating a new standard of expectations for sports titles ever since. NBA 2K25 is a mixed bag of great and disappointing. So let's talk about what's great first. What's great is the variety of presentation in NBA 2K25 keeps things fresh, not just the variance of your commentary crew, but also the visual aspects as well. Sometimes you get the TNT crew minus Barkley in the studio for pregame. Sometimes you get fun player animations with hype music. Sometimes you get the national anthem. Sometimes you get the starting lineup. And sure, after a while, you've started to begin to see all the different pre-game presentation modes, but I personally just love the fact that instead of taking presentation packages out and replacing them, they just continuously add to them with small variances. Timeouts also have fun animations like cheer squad performing a routine on the floor, the t-shirt cannons come out, or my personal favorite is the dance cam, which is just another fun addition with fans dancing, and like then a few of them realize they're on camera and they get excited. It's pretty funny. Yeah, they look very animatronic and kind of creepy, but I love the innovation of the presentation in just all the different areas of a basketball game. And even like a hot mic catching Coach Malone trying to fire his team up during a timeout.
Sense of urgency, man, come on. We gotta get this win.
And it's moments like this that 2K excels at bringing the overall basketball atmosphere to life. Now the bad part of presentation. There are some key moments throughout the year that I was hoping to find a little bit more immersion within franchise mode that I just didn't see. For example, the Christmas Day games. That's a big day in the NBA. And I guess I was hoping we would see some more Christmas themed set design and graphics, such as, Christmas lights around the border of a graphical overlay, maybe it's snow falling in the pregame screen, maybe the cheerleaders are wearing like Santa hats, maybe it's Shaq wearing a Santa Claus hat, I don't know, but little things like that go into a long way into creating immersion. And the fact that we have these special games like, NBA on Christmas Day and there's no special uniforms, I think just like really brings you out of that exciting moment. I usually wouldn't complain about something like that, but the fact is, while I praise presentation, it's not really doing anything truly overly innovative from 7 years ago on the Xbox One with NBA 2K17. I mean, yes, you have more cutscene variety now, but at this point, I was expecting the bigger moments like the All-Star break to have specialized presentation graphics. And speaking of the All-Star break weekend, like, it couldn't be any more boring. Sure, you can play the Rising Stars game, you can do the three-point contest, the dunk contest, but the presentation is actually severely stripped down during those modes. There's no award presentation for the dunk contest, there's no extra camera flashes in the crowd, there's no judges holding up scorecards and, Shaq falling out of his chair type. Like, it's just very quiet, it's very boring, there's no commentary.
Folks, we'd like to thank you for coming out and supporting your team. Please drive home safely.
And it's also another year where the skills challenges don't make it into the game. So while presentation is still spectacular and goes far and beyond anything EA has ever put out, there is still to me that lack of like next-gen innovation that completes the entire package. myPlayer. Alright, so myPlayer is the career mode that has become the heart and soul of 2K basketball. It's where you get to create a player of your liking and take him through an NBA career and contend to be the GOAT, all while playing games, talking to the media, and managing your relationships with teammates and your coaching staff. Over the last decade, myPlayer has evolved in so many ways, and what used to be a pretty streamlined approach to career mode has been slowly convoluted with a plethora of customization options and badges to earn and swag to wear. The good part of myPlayer is the Spike Lee nonsense from 2K15 and 16 is gone. That shit was brutal to sit through, and I like Spike Lee movies, and I was excited that he'd be helping out with the career mode back then, but it ended up being just like a really cringy disaster. And in fact, there isn't a cringe story at all that you're stuck following like in the previous titles either. You're just a top tier prospect, and you get thrown into the NBA right away. I'm not gonna lie, I do miss the days of playing in the G League or playing in high school and college games where you try and earn your spot on an NBA roster. In 2K25, you just pick which team you want to play for. Now, it is cool that depending on the team's roster and your position, it gives you a notice of where you'll be in the rotation and how difficult it will be to earn that starting 5 spot. So while I so badly wanted to go play for the Nuggets as a power forward, I knew it was going to be tough taking over Aaron Gordon's position. So instead, I went for the sunny beaches in Miami, where I could earn that starting spot a little bit easier and also have more minutes to start with. The cutscenes are decent for a sports title, and they've been better than they have been in the past, but once again, many of the characters are just insufferable. Like the marketing agent who is just constantly scolding you every time you talk to her from the get-go. It's like, lady, I've never said anything bad to the media, but you're treating me like I'm about to get up there and start saying some wild shit to make the team look bad.
I'm gonna be upfront with you, MP. I'm a team employee, first and foremost. And it's my job to make sure this team is seen in the best light possible. You make the team look good, we'll be on great terms. You make the team look bad, and we will have a problem.
I pull my balls out right now. I don't care.
You do get to play some pre-NBA games like the FIBA U19 World Championship, a club game, a high school state championship, and you do these via flashback. And they are completely optional as well. So if you want to just jump in and play the NBA, you can. If you want to play these flashback moments of your player's like early NBA career, you can also do that. I do like to play the story pre-NBA, but the objectives are pretty intense, pretty tough, and you're most likely gonna have to play each of them more than once if you're trying to get 3 stars to earn VC. I mean, seriously, I have to beat Spain and outscore their top player in the world by 15 points. It's impossible. Like, it is actually impossible. The dude shoots lights out from 3. He's never subbed out. And as a post-dominant power forward who's a 60 overall, mind you, I don't stand a chance to outscore another player by 15 points. Even if, like, not even the best player in the world. He's the #1 guy, and I gotta outscore him by 15 points. It just doesn't meet my style of play. Or how I have to get 7 assists, but anytime I pass the ball to my teammates, it's a brick. They just can't shoot anymore. And this all goes into my next point about my career, and it's the glaring issue that everybody knows with 2K, and that it's constantly just pushing you towards microtransactions. The game is littered with them everywhere. I know I'm not a 2K god, but I'm solid at the game, I understand basketball, and I play on a difficulty that suits me. So when I'm grinding it out every single possession and trying to play a near perfect game just to have a chance at getting 7 assists, but I still fail because my players just decide they can't shoot anymore, it's frustrating. Like, and I can't, like, what am I to do when I score 10 points, have a great game, and then the dude from Spain comes off the bench and just drains 3 straight 3-pointers and has 9 points in a matter of three possessions. Excuse me, I'm fumbling over here because I'm getting frustrated. Like, guys, I stopped playing and I took a 90-minute walk through Central Park to clear my head. Like, the game is just clearly trying to frustrate you and force you into purchasing VC to level up your player and have a good time. And that's the annoying part, is I'm supposed to be this rookie stud, but I'm a 60 overall, and leveling up your player just costs a lot of VC, and earning VC is slow. So while I love my career and I love the intricate details of the storyline, and I love answering interview questions and chasing GOAT status and breaking records, 2K really does try and find ways to game you out of grinding it out and getting, like, basically attempting to force you to buy VC. And it's an extremely shady practice. This is a full price game. I get it. Pre-NBA games are optional and I don't have to do them, but it's still so clearly rigged in a way to get the gamer to consider buying VC so they can upgrade their player real quick and actually have a good time in career mode. And yes, you can earn VC by playing the game. You get a set amount each game you play, and then you also get bonuses for every basket, assist, rebounds, blocks. It's not much, but it is nice to have those bonuses. And you can also level up your player by going to the Gatorade Training Center, which is an outdoor gym on the beach in the city. You can use the team practice facilities to train your player and level up that way. And of course, you can earn VC playing pickup games on various courts in the city. And you can earn VC on the go-kart track. There are a ton of ways to earn and level up, and you just have to work at it, which is cool. I love the training centers. Like, my whole spiel with career mode is I want to totally be immersed in the world of being an NBA player when I'm playing like a my career mode. I want to go to the gym and do the box jumps, do bench press, hit that agility ladder. That stuff is fun, and it actually makes me feel like I'm being, you know, a virtual athlete in the video game world, like it's an RPG, and I'm like doing these different exercises to improve my player. It's one of my favorite things in career mode. I also love that you can like walk around the arena and enter the arena, move around the locker room and stuff, but like I'm still waiting for that next gen step. It's, you know, I'm waiting for 2K to take it to the next level, because while it is cool to enter the arena and move around the tunnels, it really needs interactivity. For example, like an idea I have is I want to go talk to Jimmy Butler in the locker room, and it boosts our chemistry, and then maybe over time our chemistry hits like a certain point, and then it gives ourselves like little boosts, like little rating boosts, because we both have like a bond with each other. So if I pass him the ball, he's more likely to score because of our chemistry. Like his shooting gets a stat boost when the pass comes from me, like that type of stuff. Or when I'm going through the tunnels, I want the option to stop and sign an autograph for a fan, and that action gives me a small fan boost. The 3D environment is sweet, but I think it's time for this 3D stadium environment to become more interactive. Which also brings me to the city, and this is kind of like an extension of my myPlayer section, and it's like an online hub of myPlayer where you can navigate your way playing Pro-Am games, pickup games, and your NBA games. You can walk around and shop at outlet stores for some new Jordans, or, you know, Converse if that's more your style. You can buy a skateboard or a one-wheel to move around quicker. You can even join a street ball affiliation, and you can go go-karting. I saw some people hating on the go-karting, but I don't know, I like it. You know, the driving mechanics are ass, but like, it's fun, and it's a cool way to get a break from playing basketball and like be involved in the world of your myPlayer. What's disappointed me the most about the city is that there's just not much to do outside of shopping and those pickup basketball games. I mean, yes, you have the Gatorade gym where you can train once a week, and you have the go-karts, which I think is a great addition. And I guess I was hoping for, maybe a little bit more mini game type stuff. Like, there's a volleyball court on the sand. Like, I want to go out there and play some beach volleyball. And I know you might be thinking, like, what do these things have to do with basketball? Like, absolutely nothing. They don't. But the city presents itself to me as like this open world sports title full of opportunity that's not being taken advantage of. And maybe that's just the RPG player in me, where, I play something like Red Dead Redemption or Skyrim, and I have a blast like playing poker, or going out and hunting and then coming back to the town and selling skins, or going fishing in Skyrim with like fishing mods. And you might be like, oh, what does that have to do with the main story? And it's like, it doesn't have anything to do with the main story, but it's about being able to interact with the environment around you that the story takes place in. And I think that's what's right now missing from a lot of these 3D environments that 2K is offering, is they're there and you can walk around in them, but I wish there was more to make it feel like this basketball universe that you get to take a part of. And another example of this is myCourt. myCourt customization is back, but it is extremely bare bones compared to its 2K17 counterpart. In 2K17, I could customize the scoreboard, the court, the backboard, the ball I use, and so on. Like, I could even move out of the warehouse into a dope city loft apartment or a cabin in the woods. But in 2K25, I can only customize the wall art around myCourt. The loft style apartment is really sleek and it looks good, but that's all it is for looks. Why can't I invite a teammate over and play a game of pool, as another way to boost team chemistry? Or maybe I invite a teammate over and we play a game of horse on my myCourt, and that gives us like a temporary one-game boost to shooting stats. As someone who loves game design, I'm just seeing missed opportunities here for a fully immersive career mode. And like I said, I haven't touched my park stuff yet because I'm a 60 overall. I'm not going to spend another $50 on a game that I just spent $70 on just to get my player to an overall of 85 and be usable in online play. It's all a scam. And that's still my biggest gripe with 2K, is that you can't do anything multiplayer or truly enjoy career mode like you're supposed to unless you spend over $100 on the game. A fully priced video game should not have microtransactions, especially microtransactions that affect the single player aspect of the game, such as myCourt. Alright, now that we got through that mess, let's get on to like the really cool stuff, and that is the myNBA mode and the NBA eras and myGM. For those who aren't aware, myNBA is the franchise mode, and the addition of eras came in 2K23, and it is absolutely game-changing. Eras allow you to start a franchise mode from various points in NBA history, such as the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird era, the Michael Jordan era, the Kobe era. New to 2K24 was the LeBron era, and now new to 2K25 is the Steph Curry era. My guess is 2K26, like maybe they'll add Wilt Chamberlain in the 60s or Kareem in the 70s. So if you're coming from 2K24, the only differences in myNBA this year are the new Steph Curry era, the in-season tournament, and some like presentation adjustments of the older eras where like, the Kobe era info is being shown via a website while modern day is social media. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. So like, if you're a myNBA guy and you don't care about the Steph Curry era, you can just hang on to 2K24. But for those who don't know, eras is the best thing that happened in a sports video game. It creates a true basketball sandbox where you can relive history or completely rewrite it. Like, I love changing the draft rules to eliminate the draft lottery, then tank the Nuggets so we have the first overall pick and draft Michael Jordan. Or I can go replay those Spurs dynasty years and make sure Ray Allen doesn't hit that three-pointer to give the Heat that championship ring. You can alter league rules and expansions. I can have the Nuggets keep their old logos. I can have the Supersonics stay in Seattle. And if you want to start in the modern day, that option is obviously there too for franchise mode. But if you want to replay NBA history or change it, that option is there. And on top of it, you can even player lock yourself so you can only play as one player. And if you wanted to treat that as a career mode where, you create your own superstar and then just hit player lock on that guy so you can only control him, you can do that. Or if you want to put yourself in a scenario like trying to score 81 points with Kobe Bryant, but only controlling Kobe Bryant, you can do that well. myNBA as a franchise mode is a ton of fun, and being able to manage basic prices, scouting, game planning, and training is just a blast. The training aspect has been simplified, and that's a good thing. The older 2K games, I always thought training was just like a little too involved with how minute of details you had to go through and change in order to get it to work properly, but just like 2K24, 2K25, it keeps things simple and streamlined, so you still have control over your training regimen without it being too time-consuming. Scouting is also seamless, as you can tell your scout where to focus their efforts, whether it be several specific players you're eyeballing, or a general round, or just maybe even position specific. It's a great way to have control over how scouting is performed without having to micromanage every aspect of it, so you can get back to basketball. For the front office stuff, you can manage all the basics like ticket prices, merchandise, and food. It's nothing revolutionary, but it's there if you want it. And also, just like training, it can be turned off if you don't want to deal with it. You can hire and fire staff members, manage your budget with how much funds are allocated towards player salaries, roster salaries, and stadium vendors. There are more customization features in myNBA than necessary, not just from gameplay sliders, but contract sliders and customization, trade logic, development sliders, sim play style sliders, like how often 2-point shots are taken, or how well players develop 3-point skills over time, and how long do they stay at their peaks, like what the baseline salary expectations are. I mean, there is so much you can tweak. So if you really wanted to take the time and mess around and tweak progression, you can do that. And to me, that's the beautiful part of 2K's myNBA, because franchise mode can be as simple and as automated as you want, or as complex as you want. Then we switch over to myGM, which makes its return to 2K, and it's disappointingly very similar to myNBA. So everything I just said you can do in myNBA with the eras mode, you can do in myGM. So what does GM do differently? You can have conversations with coaching staff and players in a 3D office environment, and that's about it. I was, again, excited for this 3D office space, only to learn it's actually empty and just kind of half-assly thrown together. You have a few conversation prompts at the beginning of the season with the governor, the coach, and the head scout, but other than that, the conversations are very few and far between, and the mode is very buggy. I went through my entire first season and had one conversation. You know, the point of the mode was to streamline these conversations and make them more important to get rid of all the chit chats from earlier GM modes, but I don't find the conversations to have that much of an impact, and at the end of the day, they don't add enough content to make me want to choose myGM over myNBA. But then the second season, I had a handful before the All-Star break even happened, so Season 2 was a little bit more enjoyable with the conversations, but I also feel as if there are bugs causing me to miss content that's supposed to be in the game. There is also a really bad, truly game-breaking bug where when you load into a game in myGM, no one can score, like no one. Everybody's stamina drains immediately, they all move sluggish like they're in quicksand. Nobody can score basket, and it's happened to me about 4 or 5 times already, and I have to basically exit out and go back in to fix it, but it happens quite often and it kind of ruins the experience a little bit. The skill tree and their perks are okay. The only skill you really want to unlock that's of any value is charisma, because that opens up more conversation options for you and it helps increase team morale in the background. I wish you could talk to players in myGM, so when Michael Porter Jr. has a really low morale and he's pissed off, I can't do anything about it to increase his happiness. I can't go up to him in my 3D office space and strike a conversation to boost morale. I just have to deal with it. So if you were hoping for a fun and immersive GM mode, you're going to be disappointed because there's really not much to do. All the other managing aspects are in myNBA, so unless you just want to have conversations with like your head coach and your scout that provide you season tasks, you might as well just stick with myNBA. Which is too bad, because 2K20 in my opinion had a pretty solid GM mode with a skill tree that made sense, where you had to unlock skills to change prices and improve your relationship with the trainer in order to make changes to the training schedule. You had press conferences every week where you would address the media. You had coach and player conversations. You could choose sponsors for your arena, and then you had to manage your working relationship with them as well. You also had daily action points to use, and every action you took, whether it was chit-chatting with a player to boost his morale, a press conference, changing prices, which meant that if you had to choose between playing the game or having a conversation with a staff member, you were limited with your options, which in my opinion was kind of fun. Like, that was kind of the point of a true general manager mode. You don't have time to micromanage everything, so you have to pick and choose what you can do within a day's work, so to speak. And so, although myGM is a bit lackluster in my personal opinion, myNBA offers the best franchise mode experience out there in any sports game, and I'll put my money on that. Woo! Congratulations, guys, you made it to the end. So, as you know, I rate my games on a scale that don't involve numbers or letter grades, but I don't really follow a formula, to be honest. So, how do I rate NBA 2K25? I give NBA 2K25 and the 2K basketball series in general the strip club. You pay a sorry, I was just laughing. You pay a cover charge to get in, and then once you're inside, they just bombard you with opportunities to spend even more money to have a good time. And look, if you want to go enjoy the multiplayer game, you can do that. You just be better ready to like fork out some extra cash. Now, if you're content with going inside and just doing your own thing, playing the solo game, you can also have a great time for only the cover charge. There's gonna be temptation all around you to spend more money so you can fully enjoy the experience and buy fake progress with real money as she convinces you she loves you and you should spend more money on her, because why have one build when you can have two builds? And after all that money you spent, all that time you spent in there, at some point they're gonna kick your ass out. The online servers barely stay on for a few years, so whatever progress you make in my career, it's just gonna go away because the servers are gonna go offline and never to be touched again in just a few years. But if you're a solo player and you just want to enjoy the show, you can come back as often as you want with no extra charge. If you're looking for that career girl, I'm not sure the strip club is the place to look. So maybe try the girl that's always been there for you, the one you get along with, the one that isn't going to shut you out after a few years, the one that's not going to demand a bunch of money from you in the process. That's the career you want. Alright guys, hopefully that analogy made some sense and helped you make your purchase decisions. It's a great basketball game, littered with predatory microtransactions. Look, I'm enjoying my time playing it, doing the myNBA eras mode, and touching my career here and there and grinding that out. And while I wish it did more, it still blows all of EA Sports titles out of the water. The gameplay is phenomenal, and I think if you're a basketball nerd who just hasn't picked up an NBA game in a while, to me this is like a must-buy game for myNBA alone. It'll keep you occupied for a long time. That's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. The next review up is Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. So yeah, be on the lookout for that next week. And until next time, peace.